Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well out there. On my way to the dojo here, thought I would make another video. It's a beautiful day here. I got the top down, I'm enjoying myself. So guys, you know, I know that I made another video about Wes Watson. And, you know, I wanted to keep it a buck with you guys because the real shame in all of this is that the man really does have a great fucking message. I mean, the crux of his message was, you know, to work out every day, to be sober, to drop the vices, get up early, read something positive, you know, track your macros right. Like, you know, obviously there's an emphasis on fitness there, but I mean, that's a really solid message. And the saddest part of this is that because of the way that he carries himself, because of the way that he has just been so out of line so many times, and you know, the bragging, and I understand that, you know, a lot of the material stuff is used to, you know, for publicity, for marketing, to get really to get attention, you could say, and I get that, and I'm not at all, you know, ignorant about that, but the real issue that I have is when he talks down to people, you know, and look, some people need that, right? And you know, I know that there's a shock value to that, you know, it is entertaining, it does captivate attention, it does generate attention, so I get all that. But you know, you got to remember that if we want to be, it's easy to, you know, sit there and clown on this guy because clearly, you know, most likely he's going to get some sort of a consequence for the gym altercation. Right, we all know that. All right, that much is a given. And we know that, you know, obviously his relationships are, you know, unhealthy. They're not based on anything other than, you know, him financially supporting these women who are in financial duress because I guess Theta Healing doesn't exactly pay the bills. So, despite all the money, despite all the bullshit, the guy is imploding. But, and this is really what this video is about, all right? And just so you guys know, I don't edit these videos. You know, I make them, every video you've ever seen of mine, I have never edited anything. I shoot them, I don't cut them, I throw it out there. You know, because I think that that's the way to be the most authentic. That's how I look at it. But we can really learn a lot from Wes Watson, that no matter how great your message is, if you don't carry yourself in an honorable way, in the way that you want to be seen, hopefully the way you want to be seen is that you're an honorable man. And no matter how good your message is, it will get lost in the cacophony of bullshit coming from your actions and your conduct. I think that money doesn't really change a person. I think it more so reveals who somebody always was. And so, even when Wes Watson got out of prison and he was making the videos at the park bench, I mean, he was an intense guy, but his message was not as braggadocious, let's say. There was something in his eyes that reminded me of somebody that I knew. And this guy Matt was had some similarities to Wes. Not, nearly to the extreme. But there were some things that I've noticed that reminded me of him. And one of those was, Matt was a born-again Christian. He would constantly talk about God. He would constantly talk about Jesus. But yet, he couldn't stop smoking weed. And he had a very bad temper. And he was a control freak. And I began to see that Matt only hung around people that he thought he could control. And once you weren't abiding by his wishes, he couldn't handle it. So of course we butted heads and I stopped hanging out with him. This is the downfall. Wes is somebody who wants to be in control. And it's okay to want to be in control of yourself. The problem is when you want to be in control of others. And so you see, he doesn't surround himself with educated, professional, high-class people because they wouldn't allow him to talk to them the way that he talks. See, he surrounds himself with low-life thugs who, whose story, whose outlook on life resonates with Wes's, But within the crossfire of all this, there is something to what Wes says. There is some. I believe in fitness. Like I believe in. I had a rough day today. Not really a rough day, but I was just. I don't know, just a little frustrated. Maybe I didn't sleep well. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. And I went to the gym. I did a good leg day. Did the squats, did the reverse lunges, did the hip thrusts, did the calf raises, right? And I feel so much better. I went to jiu-jitsu in the morning, and I'm going back for the night class to double it up tonight. And so I understand the power of fitness. I understand the power of what that can do, not only for your body and for your confidence, but just for your mind. I do think that it's essential. I know the value of putting good food in my body, of drinking water, being hydrated, and I also understand the value of reading. I read almost every day, and it is an indispensable part of my routine. I don't do it at the same time, but I do try to read about 15 to 20 pages of something before I go to bed. But those are all great things, and I don't think that we should discount any of that just because Wes Watson said it. It's the message. It's very almost much. A lot of what he is do as I say, not as I do. Right? I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have heard that little aphorism, but it's very much applicable to this. But I also understand the deleterious effects of alcohol, of drugs, And I know that a lot of guys who are hooked on drugs and hooked on alcohol, and who are in a hopeless space, are looking for someone to pull them out. And they're looking for someone who's confident, who's got conviction, who's sure of themselves, and who seems to have a kind of a map, of a blueprint to apply to get results. But here's the thing, man. All that is great. And I still think that, you can get some value out of listening to Wes. But what you have to understand is that it's not really him that's saying it. A lot of the things that he's saying are things that a lot of people say, that a lot of people believe, that a lot of people have discovered, through their walk of life. And so, at some point, you start to realize that you don't need a coach. You don't need any of this. What you need is to apply principles. That's what wisdom is. It's applying sound principles. So, if you want to do that, you can learn how to count your macros. You can figure out what your goals are, whether you're trying to get bigger or leaner or just stronger, whatever it is. Figure out the exercises, the reps, the weight. Figure out the amount of calories that you need, and start learning nutrition. That's a great thing to do. It's something that I want to do more of. I mean, I know a lot about it, but I could learn a lot more. All right, you want to learn about these things. You want to go to the gym. If you don't know about certain exercises, you hire a personal trainer. Like, you can do all these things. Start reading books. Start hanging around other people who are doing that stuff too. But see, what you don't need is to believe that your success depends upon hiring someone like Wes Watson. Because that's where it all goes wrong. That's where it all goes south. The message is good, or the core message. The solution is where he gets you, where he cons you. And that's what I'm trying to warn people against. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand, that, like, it's not what he's saying that is wrong. It's how he walks. He talks the talk, he doesn't walk the walk. I've said it before. The line, not admitting about that steroids. Those steroids. That's a big problem.